By now, you've found ways to use AI. Summarize a document, draft a coverage note, make an email sound less abrupt. Useful, but if you're honest, it's also incremental. One person, one prompt, one task at a time. That's not what's at stake here. Underwriting operations teams, onshore, nearshore, offshore, exist almost entirely because the document problem hasn't been solved. Submission processing, SOV reconciliation, claims triage. These aren't single prompt tasks. They're chains of 15, 50, sometimes even 100 sequential steps, each requiring domain-specific judgment. Frontier models are brilliant at one task at a time, but their accuracy drops sharply once they're asked to hold more than 5 steps in working memory. That's why the carrier-built internal stacks struggle to get past a pilot. It's why point solutions that you may have already tested only cover slices of the workflow, but not the breadth. And it's why a chat interface, however good the underlying model, will never become the operational backbone of your business. V7 Go is built differently. Domain experts design the workflow once. The model executes one precisely scoped step at a time. Workflows of 150 steps maintain the same accuracy as workflows of 5. That architectural difference is what makes this production grade rather than pilot grade. It's the reason the firms quoted later in this video are running V7 in production and not testing it in a sandbox. Let's start with the submission. A broker sends an email. It contains a slip, a schedule of values, 3 years of loss history, an engineering survey, different formats, different quality, different classes of business, and somewhere inside all of that is the answer to a single question. Is this a risk that we want? Traditionally, an underwriting team opens every attachment, reads it, starts populating the workbench, and attempting to find out what's important and relevant amongst all of the noise. Multiply that across a morning's submissions and you understand why good risks get slow responses. V7 Go reads the entire package the moment it arrives. Document intelligence runs across every attachment, slip, SOV, loss run, survey, simultaneously, regardless of class, regardless of format. It extracts structured data, insured details, limits, deductibles, conditions, claims history, loss prevention information. It applies your underwriting appetite and your risk guidelines. It pushes that structured output directly into your workbench, your policy admin system, your pricing tool, your sanctions screening workflow. Not instead of those systems, alongside them. V7 sits within your existing IT estate, connecting the documents your business runs on to the tools your teams already use. By the time an underwriter looks at the submission, it's already been read, structured, pre-triaged, and checked. One international reinsurer, 30 minutes per submission to 30 seconds, 60 times faster, in production today. Now, the schedule of values. And I want to be precise here, because this is more than a data hygiene problem. When a submission arrives, someone has to cross-reference every location on that SOV against the coverage terms in the slip. Do peril sublimits align with the exposure at each location? Are there locations on the schedule that fall outside the bound coverage? Are there gaps that a broker hasn't flagged? That process, reading a slip in one hand, running down an SOV in the other, is painstaking and manual, and entirely dependent on an exposure manager not missing something on row 847 of a 1,000-row spreadsheet. V7 Go runs that cross-reference automatically. It reads the slip, extracts the coverage structure, and maps every single location against the applicable sublimits and perils. Mismatches surface immediately. The exposure management team sees a structured, validated, reconciled file. For one Lloyd syndicate, 4 hours of SOV work down to 7 minutes, and fewer surprises at renewal. Claims is where process debt compounds fastest. A first note of a loss arrives, phone transcript, a portal submission, an email, a scanned form, it doesn't matter. Someone creates a file, verifies coverage, assigns a handler, and sets an initial reserve. Every step is manual. In high volume lines, that latency isn't just inefficient, it affects outcomes. V7 Go handles the full workflow. FNOL ingestion from any channel, automatic file creation, coverage verification against the bound policy, an initial reserve recommendation, handler assignment by claim type and complexity. By the time a handler picks it up, the file is built, the coverage is checked, and a recommended action is already on the screen. A TPA we work with, 45 minutes for a new claim file processing, down to 1 minute. 45 times faster. The handlers didn't disappear, they just stopped spending their days building files and started spending them resolving claims. For MGAs, this is existential. The MGA proposition is speed and specialism, the ability to find, price, and bind niche risks faster than a traditional carrier can move. But most MGAs are running that proposition on infrastructure that wasn't built for scale. Take a binder running across 2,000 risks a quarter, reporting into 3 different capacity partners, each with their own Bordereau format. Today that's a person, or even a small team, manually validating Bordereau data against binder terms, checking compliance line by line, and assembling 3 differently formatted reports at month end under pressure. V7 Go handles the full sequence. Submission triage against appetite in seconds, Bordereau validation against binder terms, automated, compliance checking built into every workflow run. Here's what makes this different from a point solution. V7 Go isn't a tool for one team. The same platform that processes a submission for a London market underwriter is running claims triage for a TPA, cleaning SOVs for an exposure management team, and handling invoice processing and regulatory reporting for back office functions. The submission data from underwriting informs exposure management. The loss data from claims informs renewal underwriting. Broker performance becomes visible across years rather than across one renewal cycle. A new submission lands and V7 already knows that you quoted on this insured 18 months ago, and why you declined. Over time, V7 becomes institutional memory, connecting the knowledge that currently lives in scattered inboxes and unread spreadsheets into something the whole business can act on. The graph compounds. Every submission process makes the next one faster and better informed. That's the part that's hardest for a competitor to replicate, because it isn't a feature, it's an accumulating asset. Every workflow run is logged, every extraction is cited back to a source, every output is auditable end to end. This matters in insurance more than anywhere. You're regulated, your capacity providers expect controls, and the documents flowing through these workflows are some of the most sensitive in your business. V7 Go was built for that, not retrofitted to it. The firms that move first on this don't just become more efficient. They become faster to quote on the risks worth writing. They see more of the market. They bind more of the good business before a slower competitor has even finished reading the submission. The technology exists today. The firms deploying it aren't running pilots, they're in production. And the gap between them and everyone else compounds every single quarter. That's what V7 Go is for.